Good afternoon and welcome to MASSP's Leader to Leader, part three of a webinar series with our colleagues from College Board. And today's session is really focused on modern states, CLEP, AP seminar, and AP research. And what can we be doing at a local level to be able to expand opportunities for our students, knowing that too often standards are a glass ceiling versus the floor that we want to extend from. Recognizing that in order for us to improve the talent pipeline and close the achievement gaps that divide our nation's children along lines of race, class, language, and disability, it's incumbent on us as educators to look at the programming we have, the instruction we provide, and the access and opportunity and support for each and every student. So as we get into today, know that we're going to be exploring opportunities that can be expanded not only within your school, but across your district and our state, based on the work that students do within the PSAT 8 to identify in 9, 10, and then into the SAT to identify AP potential. And beyond that, what are some opportunities for students to earn both high school and college credit for the coursework they're doing? And so we're going to be learning about some of the work that are going on in Northview, Traverse City, and Unionville, Swabling, around that work. So I want to thank our panelists who have joined us today for day three, specific to those components. And so with us from the College Board is Ginny Barron, who's the director of the CLEP Outreach and Account Management for the College Level Examination Program. And so she'll be sharing about that in Modern States, which is a curriculum that we can use within our schools to prepare students for that CLEP examination. In addition, we have Chuck Arnold, who will be joining us in a few minutes, the principal, and Laura Palega, who's with us now, the counselor from Unionville, Swabling area middle school and high school. We have Joe Esper from Traverse City West High School, and Sarah Gammons, director of school counseling at Northview High School. Sarah will focus on the AP seminars and those pieces and what they're doing in a suburban district just outside of Grand Rapids to expand opportunity and work towards 100% of their students engaging in AP and pre-AP work. So as we're together today, we are going to use the Q&A feature. So if you have questions that you would like addressed, feel free to add that to the Q&A. In addition to that, we have a chat activated, so you are able to introduce yourself. Please just make the setting. You'll have to change the setting to everyone. And so in doing so, you're able to interact that way as far as comments and that, but put your questions so we can see those there. And note that a recording of this webinar, as well as a slide deck, will be shared with you for those who are participating afterwards as a point of reference and posted on our website. So with that, please note, as was indicated when you joined, this is recorded. So be mindful of what we say and do. And as we go forward, in the words of the attorneys and law enforcement, anything we say and do can be used against us. And so we want to make sure that we're mindful of that. So with that in mind, what I'd like you to do is think about this quote. And in the chat, what I'd like you to do is indicate, what does this say? What does it mean? And why does it matter, given the focus of today's webinar connected to AP seminar, AP research, AP capstone, CLEP in the modern states? So just in the chat, if you would indulge me by sharing, what does this say? What does it mean? And why does it matter? So as we think about people are priceless, think about the impact not only the pandemic has had, but prior to the pandemic for students based along lines of race, class, and disabilities. At this time, it's over a $2 billion earning loss across our nation. As we look to the College Board and the opportunities that they present us as an opportunity to improve the earning potential of our students by giving them pathways to prosperity. But too often in schools, our focus is about schooling and not about learning. And as a result, we have students whose experiences don't prepare them to be not only career ready, but college ready. And so today we're going to be focusing on what can we do as educators to focus again on education as a learning opportunity to close not only the learning gaps that lead to earning gaps, but also expand opportunities for them. So as we do this, I'd like you to listen to the voices of these high school students in relationship to their experience in schools, and think about what might your students say about their experience in your school. As you think about the students who thrive in your school, how might you identify them or describe them? When you think about those who are more marginalized or underserved, what characterizes them? And what might we do to address that? So as you listen to this, be thinking about your school. And although the faces may be different, what are their stories that are in common?
I can tell when my teacher, she tries to tell me and the other minorities that are in the middle of the class to quit talking a lot, but she doesn't want to tell other kids to quit talking. Or my teachers are quick to kick us out of class. If you mess up or if you talk back. And with us, they like to make sure it's all business and make sure we're only doing our work. But then when it's with another kid who's a different race, they're just over there. The teacher is with the kid talking when she was just telling us to quit talking and we need to be doing work, but when she's with other kids having a blast, and it just don't make no sense. You can feel it. If you're spiritually enlightened, you feel it.
For example, I would be assigned in groups where they'd have easier books, and then there'd be kids where they'd have the harder book. But I will always tell my teacher, I'm just like, I don't want to read that book. I want to read the harder book. My teacher would be like, I don't think that you want to. This book's easier for you. And I'm just like, I think I can do it. I'm not stupid. Yes, I do feel like I'm treated differently at school. First off, I'm a female. Second off, I'm African American. Third, I'm a Muslim. So that on top just kind of is because when people think of Muslims, they think, oh, terrorists or all these crazy things. And it's we're not that. And especially since I'm African American, it makes it harder, because I'm teachers and students don't see me as academically smart or intellectual as a white person. So that kind of sucks because it's no, I'm way more better than that. I'm way more smart. And it's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I go to the corner store every once in a while. The guy will kind of watch me more. I actually don't say out loud. He'll kind of follow me around the store. See me steal anything, but I'm gonna buy something. But when the white boy goes in, he's letting go. And he might steal something, you never know.
Faculty wise, teacher wise, I don't feel that I do, because I think that they understand just as much as I do how diverse the school is. So they know not to put that boundary there to look at me differently because of my race. Now, students wise, I feel that everybody has a little bit of racism in them and everybody has stereotypes for any kind of race. So I know that I'm definitely looked at differently, but I've accepted it.
But that's what people think is really weird about me, because they don't know really what to think about me. So they consider me different and they don't take the time to understand what I am.
They don't take the time to understand who I am. As a nation, as a state and locally, we've talked a lot about equity. And as you think about equity in our stance, are we recognizing and understanding both our implicit and explicit bias and its impact on the children we serve? Are our expectations high or low based on one's academic background, life experience, language, culture, race, gender, socioeconomic status, identity, or not? So as we think about the voices in this room, what they said and what it means for us as leaders, what do you think your students might say? As you think about those students who may be more marginalized or underserved in yours, as you look at the population taking your AP classes or having access to honors, what does the demographic say about them? Are students not signing up for class because they don't identify as smart or capable, or even worse, wanted? So as educators, we have to be thinking about, are we creating a sense of belonging for each and every one of our students across the courses that we have available? And so as we go through today, I want you to be thinking about, how does the opportunities that College Board's embraced and presented to us through the AP Potential, how can we use that data that was shared during the first two webinars to really shape the programming we offer? Because for too many students, the reason they're not taking this coursework isn't because of their abilities or interest, but because we don't provide them the access and opportunity to take them. Sometimes in our smaller schools, we don't even offer the courses that students deserve. And in some cases, we don't tap into the opportunities that are available through Michigan Virtual and other providers for online or through dual enrollment. So today, what I want you to be thinking about is, how do we serve equitably, knowing that no one has ever risen to low expectations, and that we know that if given the opportunity to support, all of our students can achieve at high levels. So with that, I'm going to turn over the presentation to Ginny Barron from our group to talk about modern states and CLEP as an opportunity to be able to expand rigorous and relevant learning to students within your local community, and opportunities that you can take in order to do that.
Thank you. Let me just get my screen ready. There we go. Thank you. I appreciate the time and being here today. For those of you who aren't familiar, who I haven't had the opportunity to meet yet, my name is Ginny Barron. I work with the College Board in this program called CLEP. I'm thrilled to be in Michigan, and I'll share out some information. When we talk about equity, let me just talk about CLEP first, and then we'll talk about the funding piece, because I think funding is key to this. You know, providing access and opportunity. That access and opportunity piece has to talk about how can we make it more affordable and create that greater access and opportunity for students. So again, CLEP has been around since 1967. It's an acronym for the College Level Examination Program. And CLEP, we have 34 subjects that provide students of all ages the opportunity to show mastery of college level material. So all of you are familiar with AP, and as mentioned, you know, some schools are able to offer AP, some are not. I like to position CLEP as an additional opportunity. So whether you're a school that offers 28 or all 38 AP subjects, CLEP could still be a fit. Or if you're an institution that has a difficult time staffing AP and have enough students to join those sections, CLEP can fit there too. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. So these are 34 exams. So you'll see 5 broad categories. Some are similar subjects to AP and some are unique. But the English and composition, business, social sciences, science and mathematics, and world languages. Quickly, just about CLEP, our most popular exam by far is Spanish language. So when you think about earning college credit for what you already know, we have a huge population of heritage Spanish speakers who are doing just that. High school students tend to have a strong pass rate with very little preparation, and it can really change their college going mindset. They take this exam, it's 90 minutes, earn 6 to 9 to 12 college credits. And it can really boost that, hey, I'm a college student, I just earned these college credits. A little bit more about CLEP for who aren't familiar. So CLEP exams are timed. They're computer-based, delivered digitally at a CLEP test center, and we'll chat more about that. Students like a couple things about CLEP. One is they get their score reports immediately. So a student is at a computer, they hit submit, pop-up screen will say, would you like to see your score? When they click yes, they'll get that score report right then and there. So pretty immediate gratification. We do have exceptions with 2 exams that require essays, college composition, and Spanish with writing. Those students do that on the computer as well. Those writing components are sent off to be scored by their respective faculty committees added to the multiple choice exam. Students would receive those scores in about 2 weeks. The other thing that makes CLEP really attractive to both students and schools is that there's no preset exam administration dates. So you can deliver CLEP whenever the students are ready. In high school space, we see December, a lot of CLEP exams being administered, as well as May. So at the end of those terms. Quickly about the scoring, CLEP exams are scored on a scale of 20 to 80. We work with ACE, the American College on Education, who recommends a college credit granting score of 50 across all subjects. And I'll share, I have a QR code coming up so you can do a policy search. If your students stay in state, I'll show you, you can search Michigan policies, but it also is just the national college and university search as well. Right now we have about 2,900 colleges and universities that award college for CLEP, and the cost of a single exam is $90. However, this is the QR code for that policy search. And I know that my presentation isn't included in the deck, but I'll send this over and this can get mailed out as well. So that you can search by institution, by state, to see if you're taking a CLEP exam, what score do you need, and what college course does that meet the qualifications of. I mentioned funding. So Michigan is the leader, I would say, in CLEP funding. So back in 2018, it was added to the line item where it said fund AP exams for low income students. We added these 2 words and CLEP. Since that time, we've seen a gradual growth in high school students who are earning college credit through CLEP. Our process in this, I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but really we have a process for Michigan high school students who want to access that funding. Schools order a voucher through College Board. The students then would use that voucher when they register for their exam. So again, CLEP is a little bit different than AP, that a student goes to their College Board account to register for exam, uses that voucher as the form of payment. Then twice a year, January and July, College Board will send you a survey to say, of the blank 23 exams you administered this semester, how many were for low income students? Those get billed $5. The others are $90. And that's how we work. And then we mentioned, another obstacle perhaps to students is CLEP test centers. So prior to this happening, we had 1 high school in the state of Michigan that was a CLEP test center. We're up to now about 48. Again, it just really reduces that obstacle perhaps for students who don't have a transportation. And if they're going to your local community college or university, those test centers also charge an admin fee, which again can be an obstacle for students. So in Michigan, we'd love to have more high school students offer CLEP on campus, meaning that you become a CLEP test center. There's no charge. However, your school needs to have a few Windows-based machines. So no Chromebooks, no laptops. It's really just a matter of filling out a test center application. We'll help you execute the contract, train those staff who will be the proctors administering those exams. CLEP exams are considered high stakes and they have to be proctored live by an individual. But again, you can control when and where you test. So you don't have to have a computer lab of 30 students. You could do it in smaller groups. And we've seen that happen in some of the high schools in Michigan. And then it's just the technical center setup. I've provided my contact information at the beginning. So if you have questions about this, I'm happy. I'm your person. I'll walk you through the steps to do that. I totally missed my modern state slide. Okay, so I came here to talk about modern states too. So as the alternate source of funding. So here, I'm going to just stop sharing my screen for a second so I can just chat. And I'll add the slide. I apologize for that. Anyway, so just about, I just wanted to quickly mention as Modern States. So for those of you, I know many of our Michigan high schools are using Modern States. It's a philanthropic group that started in 2017 as a freshman year for free program, trying to make college more affordable. So Modern States has created free online curriculum in all 34 CLEP subjects. So a great way for students to prepare for CLEP. Prior to that, it was really take CLEP for what you already know. So Modern States is providing that learning piece. College and university faculty from around the country teaching these online courses. They're on demand, so students can take them whenever they're ready. They're free. The materials are free. I would say 25 to 40 hours of instruction, so not the same as a college course, but again, really focused maybe for students who have some familiarity and want to prepare further. For students who finish that Modern States course, answer the questions, Modern States will send that student a voucher similar to what we have for our Michigan high schools. And again, the student will use that voucher to cover the cost of the $90 exam. If they test at your school generally doesn't charge an admin fee, but if they go to, let's say they're going to Grand Rapids Community College to test, and Grand Rapids charges $30, the student does have to pay Grand Rapids directly, but then Modern States would reimburse that student that $30 fee. So my apologies. I'm on PTO today and I didn't look at my slides one more time before I got here. So I apologize for that, but I'll send you the Modern States all included in my information. And again, it's free. So if you're an educator and want to learn more about Modern States, it's modernstates.org. Go to your website, have your faculty take a peek. Sometimes we know Michigan schools are looking at in combination with either some courses they're teaching just to see if there's any gaps in that curriculum or content, and using the Modern States to help kind of push that student towards that finish line of earning that college credit with CLEP.
Yeah. So with that, thank you, Jenny. And we've been answering some of the questions in the chat that came up, and I want to bring it to Joe then. And Joe, as a principal at Traverse City West, which is a large high school in northern Michigan, one of two high schools, or three with the alternative, I believe, within Traverse City, you guys have taken the initiative recently to pursue CLEP in addition to the AP offerings that you have. So if you can share with us a little bit about what prompted such a move, what some of your goals are, and your initial experiences. And then we'll go to Laura and Chuck if he's able to make it.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. So our journey with the CLEP stuff actually started kind of pre-pandemic and then paused for a little bit because of all the disruption. But we actually picked up the idea. I think it was a principal from Plainwell or somewhere near Plainwell that I went and listened to at one of the EdCon MASSP conferences, and kind of our partner school in Traverse City. We're West High School, Central High School. We talked about it and kind of started working through that process together. We see it as just kind of part of our menu of opportunities for kids to hopefully persist and complete college. We always talk about this metric here. We know our percentage of kids that start college when they leave Traverse City West or Traverse City Central, but the percentage that persist and actually graduate and then have a degree they can use to kind of advance their employment certainly isn't as high. So we think if kids start with more credits, better chance they'll persist and finish. So we're big AP high schools. We offer like 16 APs here. So I agree with the point earlier about like you can be an AP high school and be a CLEP high school, right? There's some overlap with the same kids, but it also hits a whole group of students that AP doesn't right now for us. So we just kind of see it as part of that whole menu. We're also an early middle college school and a dual enrollment school. We have a great community college in Traverse City. So like this is one of many options for a kid in Traverse City to get college credit, but kind of fills a gap for some kids that the other ones might not, especially with the Modern States piece, kids being able to plan a couple months ahead. You can't do this spur of the moment, but a couple months ahead and maybe fill in a gap that they didn't do junior year, now that they've solidified more of a plan senior year of where they're going and what they want to do and how they want to start out. So so we saw it at a conference. We talked with College Board. We talked with our tech department. Like you may often get with tech departments, they're like, oh, this would be impossible. There's no way you could do this. But College Board had great little like tech specs and stuff. We sent them then. It's actually fairly simple. We are a Chromebook district, so while it doesn't run on student Chromebooks, you do not need a powerful Windows machine to run it. And probably like most districts, our teacher machines are Windows, and we roll those over every 5 years or so. So we were using like 3 generations ago Windows laptops that were sitting on a shelf in our tech center. And we just prepared a small amount of them with the technology on them and tested them out last spring. And then kind of our process after, making sure that everybody understood exactly what CLEP was and what it wasn't. It wasn't here to run AP out. It wasn't here to, compete with the community college or anything like that. We made sure we talked with our district office. We met with our counselor teams. And we met with like our core content leaders so they could communicate out those pieces about AP. And then we went to our Board of Ed curriculum committee and kind of talked about it publicly right at the end of last school year, and that was to make sure that like the first time anybody heard about it here, that the talking points were really clear. So again, it's a lot about opportunity, access, and then some of the points we talked about is that CLEP is like a service we're providing. Our kids have always had the opportunity in Traverse City to go to our community college and do CLEP exams. Almost none have, over the last 10 years. That's an access issue, right? But we've made it really clear it's not a high school course. They're not getting high school credit. We don't walk this back to any kind of high school credit. It's not an alternative for taking an AP. There's also a bit of kids trying to get into certain schools having that AP on a transcript in addition to whatever your AP score is at the end of the year. Helps with your admission. So it's not a substitute for that. It's also not something we're going to teach. We want to make it really clear we're not teaching it, and we didn't want teachers to get roped into like independent study preparing kids for it, which is where the modern states piece is huge. But we also really wanted to make it clear in our talking points that's not just for academically talented or honor students. This can be for any student. So we've kind of gone through that process of building the infrastructure. We tested out the testing system last spring, and now we're kind of in our first semester where we're launching it. And you have the flexibility in your district to use this however you want. Like we said, there's not testing windows or anything like that. We talked about if we wanted to test on demand, and just with like our staffing shortages, like all your schools have staffing shortages, and also with kids doing it in an intentional way, we decided to just artificially create our own windows. So we're going to kind of do this for any kid that wants to do it in late January, and then also early April. With the idea especially focused on seniors as they start to solidify a plan for after high school, that we advertise this like for the January window, kind of right here at the end of October, early November, we'll start pushing CLEP again and try to get kids that think it's part of their plan to get into modern states. And then they can test a few months later at the end of January, and then kind of a second window of that, get into the modern states prep course, test towards the end of April before we get into wrapping up senior year and course exams and stuff like that. So that's just kind of locally where we chose to do it. The kind of like maybe a 3-step process we ask kids to go through, but we have them start with that CLEP policy search link that was mentioned. So as kids get a plan and they know I want to go to this place or this place, and I want to start at this level, or I don't want to have to take out as many loans or whatever, and I know I have like a lot of knowledge in this area, start with the policy search and see if there's courses you think you might do well in if you did the prep course that institution takes. So it's just like the AP policy search page. We try to make those really transparent to our kids here. Kids with AP are not as discriminant about it. Some kids want to go to really elite schools and they don't realize that school only takes AP Bio if it's a 5, or that school doesn't take this AP class. But hopefully with the CLEP policy search, we help kids kind of understand that. And then if the CLEP policy search says it's a good idea for them, we encourage them to meet with their counselor, and then the counselor lets us know, like put them in the queue for the January exam or put them in the queue for the April exam. And they hook the student up with the modern states piece, or counselors also know how to get the voucher thing going for them. So that's kind of like our high level overview of what we're doing with it.
Thank you, Joe. On the other end of the spectrum, you had mentioned Jeremy Wright at Plainwell High School. And they started several years ago, and one of the pioneers, I would say, in many ways, of using it specifically with Modern State. So Joe talked about it as something students can do to supplement their day instruction, credit recovery. In Plainwell, those students are able to do it as courses. So when it came out with the Michigan Merit Curriculum with the fourth-year math requirement, they started using the Modern States curriculum as an opportunity where their teacher actually co-taught, if you will, with Modern States, providing intervention support pre-pandemic, and students being able to engage in that coursework. And then every semester, they were able to administer the exam. They also did it for students who are looking to graduate early and or for students who are looking for credit recovery. So they determined which courses applied towards their credits. So where in Traverse City, it's not a supplant, you can't supplant, it just supplements. In his, they actually had the opportunity to supplant some of where those are. We also saw it for summer school and other opportunities during the pandemic, schools using the Modern States curriculum as a way to get started with online learning that for teachers who maybe didn't have their own learning management system, being able to tap into what was available through there to provide the opportunity and support. So some other end of the spectrum. And then a small district who we've had the privilege of working with for several years now in different areas is Unionville Sawabeling over in the northern Thumb area there. And their middle school and high school has been involved with many different projects, and starting with Josh Hahn and Laura, and I now with Chuck coming in as their principal. So Laura, as the counselor in Unionville Sawabeling, one of the things that you've done is partnered with your local career tech center, community college type of piece in order to expand opportunities for a very small school. So if you can tell us a little bit about your school, some of the initiative you have around this work and the impact it's having and for opportunities for your students. If you can unmute.
There we go. Thank you for having me. We have been successful with CLEP testing as an alternative. We gave some students the option for AP Lang and AP Lit classroom classes that they were in to actually choose if they were interested in taking the CLEP or taking the AP test. And most chose one or the other. In a few unique cases, we had students choose to take both tests to see which one they might fare better on. We were fortunate to have our local tech center as a testing site, and they were gracious enough to invite us over and continue the invitation moving forward, as long as we set it up with them that they would host our students to test over there. And they already had the technology piece set up, and were able to get multiple computers set up for our students to come over there and test. And they didn't charge us an administration fee. And we actually took a bus in the spring. And as I'm learning more about the Modern States, I think this might be an opportunity for us to implement more of these tests. We do a pretty extensive dual enrollment option here at USA. The dual enrollment is mostly through Washtenaw Community College, and it's all online. So our students are pretty adept to working on online platforms. But someone that has some interest or some knowledge and might be able to be successful on the Modern States program may be able to take a CLEP test and have it actually be an opportunity for them to, earn those credits and get that boost into a college setting and give them that confidence that they need, that they might be starting with some college credits already, as we do with dual enrollment and AP. But at a small school, we just try to provide our students with as many options as we can, because oftentimes we get kind of lacking in the number of kind of elective classes that we have left available for them. And so we really do open those opportunities for dual enrollment quite often. And we do only offer currently 3 AP classes. So CLEP testing would be a great opportunity to expand those options for our students. I think you're muted now as well, sir.
So as you think about opportunities in your school for students to be able to earn credit, both of you have mentioned the opportunities that you have through CLEP, whether it's supplementing or supplanting some other pieces, as well as opportunities with IB and dual enrollment. Are you finding, Laura, to your point around some students chose one or the other, have you found that because of different opportunities or the interest or success rates, what were some of the factors that students were using to determine which of the 2 tests to take?
Some of them were just choosing. We have our dual enrollment coordinator is very helpful to our students in helping them do that research and that finding those best options for them. And in some cases, CLEP was a better option for them than the AP test. So, and so, sometimes it's a reputation of, oh, they don't think they can be successful on that AP test. Maybe they just aren't as confident in their writing ability. I don't know. I think some of them are a little bit more eased by the multiple choice. I'm not saying it's an easier test, but maybe the platform of it is just better suited for that student. And we were very successful with it. We did have one of those 2 tests that required the 2-week window to wait for the scoring, because one of them was the writing component had to be submitted for the composition test. So I would really definitely enjoy exploring more of these options for our students that are making decisions and thinking about this cost of an post-secondary education as it creeps up on them. They have a lot of big dreams and ideas when they're juniors, and then the price tag starts to dangle over their heads a little bit more seriously as they become getting closer to graduation. And so any opportunity that we can give our students to obtain some of those general education credits and get them kind of that jump start that they need seems to be a really successful opportunity for our students to then work on that completion and making those percentages of completers much higher. Thank you.
And earlier there was a question that came up around the acceptance of it. And so both of CLEP and of the AP that I responded to, and then some others put some links in there as well. I think another thing for consideration, as Laura did, around finances and cost and getting a return on your investment to build on, is also that some of our students, it's the way in which they can approach the learning. So I'll give you an example of that. When my son graduated from high school, he had a bunch of AP courses that he passed the test with 3s and 4s, no 5s, but he had some 3s and 4s, and the university went to awarded him credits, but they pushed him forward in the curriculum. So rather than taking the entry-level ELA class or the entry-level math class, they just put him in a higher one, even though that wasn't his interest. And as a music major, he loved the programming that was available in the instrumental music pieces, but didn't enjoy the lecture halls and the classes that were available there. So what he ended up doing is using Modern States and going through that Modern States curriculum, taking the CLEP test, passing. And in his instant at the university he went to, they didn't then, that essentially fulfilled what they were requiring him to do at their university. So for him, the AP didn't fulfill his purpose for doing it in order to accelerate, but the CLEP did. So be thinking about that. If you have students who more enjoy consuming and then demonstrating competency versus the engagement and the conversations and the collaboration, they just want to plow through some content maybe and demonstrate competencies. The Modern States is an opportunity to do that because it is self-paced for so many of the students if they do that and can move forward. with that then, I want to shift now from that CLEP Modern States piece and build on that to some other opportunities. As Joe and Laura and Ginny mentioned, this is one access point to do there. But we know that if we wait until students are juniors or seniors or even later to continue on or think about that post-secondary opportunity, it's too late. So many of our students are making decisions early in middle school and definitely by 9th and 10th grade. And so in Northview High School, just outside of Grand Rapids, where Sarah Gammons is the director of school counseling, they've really embarked on this idea of expanding opportunities earlier to get students in the pipeline as a bridge to move them forward. Their principal, Mark Thomas, who's a former MASSP president, wasn't able to join us today, but he's going to kick us off with a little video, and then Sarah's going to build on that to provide some more information. So I will share my screen a moment.
It was so important for us to invest in pre-AP because it provides access, equity, and opportunity for every one of our students from an academic standpoint. Pre-AP is not an honors course, even though you hear AP. It's important to understand it's a curricular framework and it's a content resource that provides our teachers a well-aligned, quality, rigorous curriculum that they can then build the rest of the course around in order to provide students with a very consistent experience.
Pre-AP program at Northview is made possible through our partnership with College Board. We offer pre-AP biology, algebra, geometry, English 9, and chemistry. Students are particularly thrilled with two things. First, the autonomy that they're presented with inside the classroom. They have a lot of choice and active involvement in their own learning. They drive their own learning. The other piece is the collaboration with their peers. At any given time, if you walk through the halls of Northview, you will see students actively engaging in conversations with their peers. Again, really, it's a student-driven learning. Embedded in the pre-AP curriculum are career readiness standards that allow students to become effective communicators, collaborators, and prepares them for life beyond Northview.
The variety of different students coming into the high school, it's very vast. Some more academically inclined, some a little less so. But I feel like these teachers here can take any person with any, background, and they can make them really have an important kind of achieving year with pre-AP. If you're a freshman coming into high school, I really recommend pre-AP.
I have taken 4 pre-AP classes. I have loved all of them. They are a little bit more direct to the information than other classes. If you can take a pre-AP course, they're definitely worth it, and they prepare you for AP courses if you even want to go into those. I didn't even think I was going to go into a pre-AP course, but I love writing, and it led me to pre-AP Lang, which I really like, and I can keep up in that class now.
At the end of the day, what we want our students to do is pick up academic momentum and see themselves as learners, that when they set their minds to it, they can accomplish anything.
We look forward to working with all students to continue to develop the pre-AP program here at Northview. If you'd like additional information, please reach out to the counseling department.
So fortunately for us, we have the director of counseling with us today from Northview High School, Sarah Gammons, and you heard from Mark Thomas, the principal, and Casey, one of the other counselors that's a colleague of Sarah's and ours. And really this, I think, started out of this idea of how do we get the pipeline broadened and recognition that the AP seminars are actually aligned to the 910 ELA standards. So as a way of thinking about this, how can we put students into a seminar that fulfills those 9th and 10th grade English requirements for students to be able to get credit? So Sarah, thank you for joining us. And if you can share a little bit more around that work that you're doing and contextualizing it further for us.
Sure. Thanks, Colin. Happy to talk about it. It's been a process that we started originally with the pre-AP 9, which was the teacher that was in there is our rock star pioneer on the pre-AP 9. And and she really drove that process. And that was the first pre-AP course that we started with as an English 9 class. And pretty much at the same time, we also looked at that AP seminar, which is our 10th grade English, and that is AP seminar for all. So that's an AP course for all. We are all inclusive on that, unless they're in a self-contained classroom. So we ran the AP, pre-AP 9, started, I think, the year or two before pandemic. And then we really grew from there across the board on our 9th and 10th grade curriculum, as you can see on the screen. We also took the pre-AP Algebra 1 down to the 8th grade for students who were able to do the Algebra 1 at the 8th grade level. And so when students come in, they are, and before that we had accelerated 9 and accelerated 10 English, and we had these different, regular and accelerated courses, which really, in my opinion as a counselor, kind of divided our school in a sense, but we put the kids all together in those courses. And because of the curriculum in pre-AP and how collaborative it is, and how teachers are able to scaffold for different abilities in the course, it has really been amazing the past few years of having it be not only just English, but now English, math, and social studies. And so, in science. And our kids are, that collaboration piece that Casey talked about in the video is a big deal for us at Northview. We talk about behavior traits all the time, and we have seen the growth of it, not only then as they're in the first, 9th, and 10th grade, but as they go through into their other courses. It has definitely propelled a number of our students who did not think, just like that student in the video said, she didn't think she would, and she meant to say AP Lang, would take an AP course. We've heard numerous students talk about that. And at this point, actually, we have the diversity in our AP courses, the number of AP courses we have. We've now had to add a couple different AP courses because of the demand from students. And so we offer about 19 AP courses now. We added AP Research, which is part of the AP Capstone diploma track. We added that after running AP Seminar for a couple of years, and we saw the desire and honestly the students looking for that course. And so we now do an AP Capstone diploma. And I guess it just normalized the idea of taking an AP course. It normalized it in the classrooms. We don't put a barrier on it, which is the policy of AP, by the way, on AP courses. It took a bit over the years with some historical AP teachers to understand that that the policy around AP was really, AP for all. And obviously counselors are really instrumental in helping students understand, what they need to do or some right fit. But we really, because of those pre-AP courses, it's made our job a lot easier because many of them are more prepared for the AP course as it is if they want to go into an AP course. And what we've also found at our school is that students who may even be thinking about trades or trade schools will decide, though, they're going to take one of those courses as an AP because it's something that they're interested in and they want to dig deeper. So it's been really interesting the past really 4 years since we put the AP seminar in as to the choices students are making around taking AP courses at Northview.
One of the things you said is that all students. So unlike some schools where there's these prerequisites, you have somewhat of an open enrollment, I guess you might call it. One, the requirement that your English 10 class, I believe, is your AP seminar. And then any student who wants to take are able to do that. So if you can talk about kind of how that works and that belief system that you're building a culture around.
Yeah, there are, I will say on some of the science AP courses, the teachers definitely encourage a certain level of math for like AP physics. And so if a student is really saying, no, I want to do it, they have a meeting. And so the teacher actually meets with the student. And so there's been, we have a recommendation that this teacher has, and then we've had plenty of students who don't have the prerequisites go into that course. but they're kind of vetted to make sure that they're successful. So there is, but the conversation is definitely had, and there isn't a strict barrier on it. With the pre-AP courses, and like it says in the slide here, it does kind of do that back mapping for AP, and students understand it. And we discussed that in 8th grade when they're coming up and in 9th grade. And it has made a student, which normally didn't happen all the time, but students who are talking about the whole lineup of what they would like to take, which is their EDP, by the way. But they'll actually target specifically a particular AP course, and they actually say it now, you know, like I'm thinking about this and I'm going to be taking AP Calc, AP Physics, and so that used to be some students, but we have a lot more now that actually speak in that, you know, specifically AP on the classes they'd like to take. And as you know, there's no credit offered for pre-AP. The interesting thing, and I think this is a question that often we are asked, is how did the parents react to it when you rolled out and you said pre-AP? Because we call it pre-AP. I know around the country, some schools change up the name, and we went straight out with this is pre-AP chemistry. And we tell them it's not an AP course, but there are, the curriculum is going to help them be prepared for a course if they want to be, and you know, not if they don't have to take one if they don't want to. And we had no pushback at all from parents. In fact, they're usually pretty excited about the whole idea of it.
Thank you.
The next slide.
Yep.
And so this just talks about our AP seminar class, which, you know, we have a lot of people who call us about this, and I talked to a lot of counseling teams about this. And it is truly jumping right off from that pre-AP to that interdisciplinary course. It is definitely a challenging course. It is very based on collaboration, critical thinking. The teachers, it's very important that the teachers, you know, work together. If there's more than one AP seminar class, which in our case, we have 4 AP teachers, AP seminar teachers. And so the team concept for the teachers is really important. This year, we were able to embed into the AP seminar curriculum some college and career EDP tests from our office, actually, within the AP seminar curriculum. So there's always been kind of a college and career theme, but we actually were able to partner with them, and we actually instructed a couple of days of instruction around career clusters, and they created personal career reflections, videos, writing pieces, job exploration, some college exploration through Big Future. And although we were with them a couple of days, they continue that for about a week or so within their English classroom with their English teachers around what's called their mock IRR. And so far, I met with the AP seminar teachers yesterday, and they were thrilled with the assignment, because what they saw is that the students connecting more deeply with their content around an interest that they had. So it's been really great. This is the first year of piloting that, and it's, you know, it's definitely been successful, and we're pretty happy about it.
Thank you.
And that's I mean, if we're going this particular assignment for every 10th grader, they're all equitably able to get that type of experience.
So one of the things that we often hear about the 3 R's around rigor, relevance, and relationships. And I think the key that I've heard from the Northview experience, and you've echoed it, and Mark and Casey in the video and the students really talked about, is that it all starts with building a learning-oriented culture where each student feels connected, and there's an expectation that you will, because we believe in you. And from there, then providing the rigor that the AP curriculum that you have and the assessments do, but then the relevance comes because what you've done is you've integrated the career exploration, the post-secondary exploration as part of that, with a commitment to career preparedness, not just awareness. And so really want to commend you for the work that you're doing at Northview, and thank you for being a part of that. So what I'd like our audience to do is think about this. How is what you've heard today about opportunities available through pre-AP, AP seminar, modern states, and CLEP, how does that connect with what you value and believe around rigorous and relevant learning experiences? Or how has what you heard from our panelists today extended your thinking about opportunities and support for students? Or third, what challenges or barriers might exist that you would know that would need to be addressed? So what connects with what you value and believe, what extended your thinking, or what challenges and barriers might exist to moving forward with increased opportunities for all students, regardless of their academic background, life experience, language, or culture. So if you would, add that to the chat. This time, we want to thank Ginny, Joe, Laura, Chuck for joining us, and Sarah for sharing their stories and experiences and being thought partners and making yourself available for all of us. To those who attended today, we trust that you found this to be meaningful and worthwhile as you start to explore opportunities and support. To Laura and Chuck and everyone, thank you for making time, not only being champions for students in your own schools and district, but sharing your voices across our state as an opportunity to showcase what kids can do when given the opportunity, really embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion without sacrificing the rigor and relevance of the learning experiences for all of our students. So thank you for coming today. Thank you for joining us, and we wish you well. If we can be of service to you as a thought partner, as a resource, please reach out to us with the contact information that's on the screen.